Welcome to another incredible episode of the Alumni Podcast. I'm a lawyer. I'm a happy lawyer. It's all good. T, do you like lawyers? You're your best friend's one. The
I
answer should
just
be
want to be a lawyer because I would subpoena somebody every single day of the week just for no. I'd be dishing those things out like every single day. I would subpoena so many people. It'd be crazy.
I'm not going to use my subpoena power for evil, T. But we'll play this intro. We'll come right back with a good lawyer, a good one.
Okay, a proper lawyer. That's right, not me.
Yes, absolutely.
We the alumni, ripping it up while you were gun shy. Run it back, reincarnated, graduated and elevated. Past lives of fast times from our high school and beyond education. Take a listen, nostalgia's never distant. No disses on this track, we handle our business. NBA, JD, DPT, we got the stack. Hey Jim, it's time to bring our classmates back.
Awesome. We're here with Counsel Lockhart. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here.
All right, this is excellent. You're our first lawyer besides me to be on this podcast, so this is super exciting.
That's pretty epic. I think there's only been one other person with like we had one PhD, right, Raquel? So not that many, but yeah. So welcome to the club. It's gonna be good.
Awesome. To start, let's rate your high school experience from 1 to 10.
I'd probably give it a 7.
Okay.
Solid
That deep
7.
sigh says everything I need to know. That that's 7 second, just like, yeah, that says it all. 7. Okay.
It's average, right? It's not bad, but by no means was it a fantastic time. It's
sounds like it's a 4 or like a 2.
Yeah, sounds like a 2.
It's getting lower as you keep going.
There was some stuff that I did not care for.
Right.
But I overall though, I stayed out of trouble. I didn't get hassled too much. There was some crazy stuff that happened when I was there. But fortunately, again, didn't really let it affect me or anything like that. Just as far as the school went, I think before you guys were there was some like racial tensions and like a riot, actually, riot. So yeah, thinking back about that, I'm like, oh yeah, that was a thing that happened. I'm happy to see that the school kind of, got its stuff together and did what it could to make sure that stuff like that didn't happen again. As far as I know, it hasn't. So that's good.
Yeah. As we joined Samohi 2 years later after that, everything was great. No racial tensions there.
Racism ceased to exist as of 2010.
Right?
I'm pretty sure, Jim. Yeah, that's a fact.
Lucky us.
I know after that it became kind of more of a hassle to get on campus, which was kind of annoying because before you could just, walk on campus. You didn't have to show your ID. Like none of that was the case, which, may have kind of led to the situation happening. So they buttoned up security a little bit more. So it certainly felt like a safer place after that. So that's always, appreciated.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Well, with that, let's take our guest into the hot seat. This is a prize segment. You get 2 passes, so don't be afraid to use them if it gets too hot. And
if it's too hot, you can't sue me either. Like I'm gonna have you sign some documents, like so you don't take it out on me. Okay, like, I'm a little worried.
That time has passed. It's not going to work retroactively.
Okay, fair enough. First hot seat question is: who was your high school crush, and did you ever shoot your shot?
Well, so I had a boyfriend for like 2 years of high school. So, I mean, okay, so not including him, because obviously, I did, right? So, no, I think by the time he was 2 years older, so by the time he graduated, I was like a junior already, and I was kind of over like high school at that point. I had older
Yeah.
friends, and I was like, they were already graduated, and I was like, when do I get out of here? Um, so yeah, no, I didn't really have a high school crush other than my boyfriend at the time. He's a sweetheart.
Fair enough.
Cool.
She
That's
was
awesome.
she had a hubby. I like that. Okay. Question 2 is, who did you have beef with or just didn't have a good vibe around at Samo?
I mean, Mr. D always kind of hassled me.
Oh my
Like,
god.
Mr. D,
yeah,
he was
no,
a
like,
legend.
like he, and the thing about so he was the security guard at my middle school while I was at middle school, and then he went to Samo at the same time I went to Samo. So he was my security guard for 7 years of my life, and he definitely knew me. Like I would, and he's just like, oh, and he like acted like he never knew me, and I'm like, come on, like, can you just not like? So yeah, him, because I think because he knew me as the middle school student and like all the way through, just like, I don't know, would play games, and I wasn't in for it. So I probably have to say him, just because I just remember him kind of giving me a hard time, and it was usually when I was not in the mood to be hassled by him or have to pull out my ID card when I'm like, you know who I am.
You know who
Stop.
I am. Yeah. Dang. That's amazing. Okay. Question 3. Did you drink or do drugs in high school? Why or why not?
So I didn't drink in high school. I didn't start drinking until I went to college. But weed, I did try for the first time when I was like 16. So I think in my junior year, and it made me incredibly paranoid. And so, and at the time, obviously, weed was illegal still. So, one more reason to be kind of paranoid. Happy to say, though, that I've gotten past that paranoia, and weed and I have a lovely relationship now. But at the time, I would just get helplessly paranoid that I was going to get in trouble, and wasn't worth it. So yeah, that didn't really come around, or I didn't get past the paranoia part until like college. But I did try weed. Yeah,
fair enough. In high school. Okay. Question 4. She's rolling right through. I like this. I mean, I feel like I know the answer to this, but you can say specifically when this happened in your career if you want. I guess maybe it was the first year. But are you currently north or south of a 6-figure income?
I guess technically I'm just north of it, just by a smidge. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I work for myself. I have my own law firm, so it's taken me a while to build up what it is. So even though I've been a lawyer for several years, and then COVID happened, and so it took a while for me to like build my practice to where it is now, where I'm happy with it. So, but yeah.
That's awesome. Well, props to you, entrepreneurial. I like that. I like that a lot. Jim is a very entrepreneurial lawyer as well. So this should be an interesting show. Question 5, as of this podcast, is your investment portfolio larger than your student loan debts?
Well, that's a funny question. That's a fun question.
Right. Is it close?
Well, well, my mom passed away a couple of years ago, unfortunately. But she did leave me and my sister investment properties, which I now manage. So on top of my lawyer job, I also do manage 4 properties in Santa Monica. Including that, because technically I'm, it's in a trust, I'm the beneficiary. Because they're Santa Monica properties, which means they're nice and have a nice fair market value that's been increasing ever so quickly. I actually, it's more. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I got a lot of student debt, but fortunately, less than my.
Nice. Perfect. Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. Question 6, rolling through 2 more. You're almost there. What was your most embarrassing or awkward high school moment that you can recall?
Embarrassing. Gosh, I wish I had a good answer for that.
Yeah.
I honestly, because I'm not, embarrassed by it now, but
yeah,
I was really under the radar in high school. I was always the one sitting in the back, quiet, usually eating something, right? I always brought snacks, so the teachers would just You know,
Yeah.
most of them are just like, all right, she's the girl that eats in class and it doesn't cause any problems, so we'll just let her be.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't know. Is that embarrassing? No, that's not embarrassing. No, gosh, I'm sorry. I don't have a good
Yeah.
answer for that. No, it
Pass.
was
It's
just
all good. It's
perfect.
all good.
She's just not embarrassing. That's just
She's not
how she
embarrassed
is.
prone
I mean,
person.
I probably did do something where I fell, like, you know, down like in the hallway or something like that, but like not something that's truly like memorable where it
It's
has
so
stayed with me
embarrassing you
after all.
blocked it out of your memory. It's fair. I mean, you just
Right.
blocked
Either
it.
it was something so embarrassing that I completely blocked it out, or it wasn't quite
Yeah.
embarrassing enough that it like made a lasting impact on me. Yeah,
Triggers.
one of the two.
Fair enough. Last hot seat question is: did you have your first kiss in high school? And if so, who was it with? I'm assuming it was maybe your boyfriend. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. So we started dating when I was 15 and he was 17.
Okay.
So that would have been my first kiss. I was a freshman. And yeah, we met because we used to volunteer together at the Red Cross.
Oh,
There was like a there used to be a Red Cross club, and I don't know if there still is, but yeah, so that's how I met like a lot of most of the people that I hung out with was kind of like part of that club and would volunteer and stuff like that. So yeah, I want to say it was because I started volunteering there before I started high school. So
yeah.
as I started high school, I already kind of knew some high schoolers because we all like volunteered together. There wasn't that many volunteers, maybe 15 of us or so.
So you're saying you donated blood and you donated saliva? Wow, that's the first on the show. Yeah.
No,
Okay, we'll move
only my
on. I'm
time.
sorry.
I only donated my time. I actually
Oh,
still
you
have never
donated
donated
time.
blood.
Okay, I
I have
just
not
donate
to this
blood.
day. I
Like,
don't like needles. I don't get like, I know it's for a good cause, but I'm too afraid of needles. So
right.
I
I'm O
actually have never.
negative, so they're always calling me to donate blood. So I'm every 4 months I'm in there like
Oh, are you
clockwork.
O? You must be O because I
O
remember they would
negative.
harass the O blood type people. Yeah.
We get harassed
I
a
do not
lot.
have O
Yeah.
blood. And even if I
I
did,
need a
not
good
call the
lawyer
Red
to
Cross.
like defend me. I'm gonna call Jim. They harass me all the time.
That's
All right,
hilarious.
let's
She
move
does.
on to the way back machine, Jim. Come on, you're the buttons guy, Jim.
Yeah, she doesn't like needles, so she chose law. That's very evident. So let's
Yeah.
just get on to it. So way back in 2008, you graduated high school. You had friends in high school. You had a bunch of peers. You had your principal. Was it Hugo Pedroza like ours? I think ours was Hugo Pedroza. I'm not sure about yours.
That name sounds. We had Dr. Strauss for
Dr.
most
Strauss.
Oh
of
wow. So Strauss was like
my
pretty late in the
career.
game.
She again also I think that's why Mr. D ended up because she was also I went to Lincoln Middle School.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so she was also the principal of Lincoln Middle School, and it just happened that the year she transitioned was also the year that I transitioned. So Mr.
Nice.
D and Dr. Strauss both from all middle
Wow.
school and high school.
That is pretty funny. Okay, so Dr. Strauss, our prior episode, that was the principal then too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You graduate high school, you go to grad night. It was probably on the tennis courts at Samohi. And you wake up the next morning and you're a high school graduate. All your peers, you probably are not going to talk to ever again. And the whole premise of this podcast, what me and T talked about during the pandemic, is what are our classmates and peers doing after high school. So we want your story from that moment you graduated all the way until you got here sitting with us, and the floor is yours.
All right. Yeah. So I graduated 2008. And then that fall, I started as a freshman at UCSD down here in San Diego. I decided to do a double major in psychology and international studies with a focus on history. Didn't really know what I was going to do with that. I thought psychology was very interesting. And I guess kind of figured maybe I was hesitant with that because I know to really do anything in that field, you have to go all the way to a doctorate degree. And I wasn't sure I wanted to do that much school. So when I graduated from UCSD, I actually started working for a nonprofit called CalPERD. And they actually work on college campuses and they do a variety of different kind of drives. And so when I worked for them, so I graduated UCSD in 2012, and that is an election year, or was an election year. And so they had me working on a voter registration drive at San Diego State University, SDSU. And so for several months after I graduated, I worked and ran a very successful, actually, voter registration drive on campus and got the most student votes participation that had ever happened in that school's history, which was kind of fun because that school also, like Samo, over 100 years old. So long-standing school. And started after that voter registration drive that obviously ended in November of that year. And we started working for other nonprofits and realized that I loved the work. It was very rewarding, but the pay and the time commitment were maybe not my forte. I was working like 100-hour weeks for like $30,000 a year, which is just wasn't cutting it for me. So the kind of winter of 2012, my mom suggested, why don't you go to law school? And I'll pay for the LSAT prep course and the books and such if you just go for it. My mom had gone to law school and she wasn't a practicing attorney anymore, but had always told me that the education and the experiences that she gained in law school allowed her to have her own businesses and do what she did later on in life. And so she was encouraging me to do the same, knowing that I might not stay an attorney, but having that degree and that foundation would open more doors for me. And without any other direction, I decided to take her up on it. And so I took the LSAT like February of 2013, it would have been. Yeah, 2013. Applied for law school. I didn't do great on the LSAT, I'll admit. I only took it once, and it was, again, because I was starting the process kind of late in the season as it was. I didn't have the opportunity to take it multiple times. And frankly, I just wanted to, again, not my heart not being 100% in it. I was like, whatever, let's just see. So I ended up going to Cal Western School of Law, which is a small private law school down here in San Diego. Cal Western, after your first year, your 1L year, as they call it, they cut 30% of the class, the bottom third of the class. They do that because statistically, those students that fall in the bottom 30 are not going to pass the state bar. And so they don't really want to waste your money. So it's one of those, look to your left, look to your right. One of you will not be here at the end of the year.
I heard that too. I heard the same thing.
Yeah, like 100%, but they meant it because they literally cut the bottom third of the class. And so the whole year I'm going through it, like if I get cut, I get cut, whatever. Like I just haphazardly, going through it. And I ended up not getting cut, obviously. Yeah, I know. I'm like, well, I guess I do have what it takes. And I just remember that whole year being in a class with people that were so gung-ho on being an attorney and had been their life dream to be an attorney and go to law school and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there like, well, good for you. If I could care less, honestly, if I'm here or not right now. And ended up sticking. I made it through my 1L year and started working at a firm that focuses on real estate law, and worked for them pretty much for the rest of my law school career. Towards the end, I actually started working for a solo practitioner who practices employment law, but for the purposes, he was able to kind of mentor me and show me what it takes to be a solo practitioner. Because it's not just being a lawyer, it's also being a businesswoman, right? I went to law school to learn to be a lawyer, but I didn't know at the time how to manage a business, with the advertising and taxes and case management software and filing. And so with his help and guidance, I was able to really see what it took to be a solo practitioner. And so I graduated law school in 2016, took the bar in July of 2016. Then I got to, wait around in what I call lawyer limbo while you wait for your results. And you're not a lawyer, but you're not a law student anymore. And fortunately passed my first time. By that point, I was definitely had decided that I was in it for real. And so I put a lot of effort in studying and time and basically told myself I'm going to give it all that it takes. And if I don't pass, then I just don't have what it takes to be a lawyer, because that's everything. And it turns out it was enough, and passed the bar, was sworn in December of 2016. And then the following spring of 2017, I started my business, Lockhart Legal. And I've been practicing and focusing on real estate law since. Also in 2020, I also got my broker's license. So I'm also a licensed broker in the state of California. I don't really do much with the broker's license. I kind of just, because it is so tied in with the real estate, it's more just kind of helpful. And then I get to, throw it around that I'm also a broker. And when people try to educate me on real estate law, I can throw that in their face and then they stop talking.
Nice. Badass.
Well, I ask every lawyer I meet this question, and it's kind of a reflective one, so just a heads up. If you can go back and do it all over again, would you?
Yes. Yes.
Why?
Because I'm proud of what I have been able to accomplish, and my goal and kind of career path, like I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was in high school, but I knew that I wanted to help people. I knew that I wanted to be able to provide something to people that they wouldn't easily be able to get or otherwise be able to get. And I think that I have found that with my practice. It is pretty much the only thing that keeps me going too, because sometimes I get really frustrated with just opposing counsel and courts, but knowing that I'm actually helping people and again providing them a service that they wouldn't be able to get elsewhere is what I like to do. I'm also kind of good at it now. I don't like to really toot my own horn, but I have been named on expertise.com and Super Lawyers for the last several years as a top attorney in California. And just July of this year, I was voted San Diego's best real estate attorney by San Diego Magazine. And so, yeah, now I kind of feel like I actually know a little bit. I still get surprised by stuff all the time, but I just remind myself that, I can handle it.
Jim always tells me about the 30 under 30 list for lawyers and about there's some rankings and stuff, and I'm always messing around with them. So Jim's in my theoretical 33 under 33, so there's some love there.
I appreciate that too. I'm on someone's list somewhere.
He's not number one like you, okay? Obviously,
Yeah,
he's not on your level, but let's be real, it's Jim. He didn't pass the bar the first time. So, I mean, come on.
And that's an accomplishment. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris did not pass her first time, so.
Yeah.
Jim, you could be the president. Let's go, man. Let's go, Jim.
Sky's the limit, man. Sky's the limit. So you practice real estate law, correct? So I practice in the personal injury arena in defense right now. So kind of staring into a mirror, a person's been practicing longer than me. What kind of advice do you have for me or for someone also applying to law school?
My advice is don't compare yourself to others, because oftentimes you're going to live up to a standard that's just not even existent. I can't tell you how many people, like first year law students, that would say things like, oh, I've spent 10 hours studying in the library. And like you had to kind of almost like one up each other of like, well, I spent 11 hours studying in the library. And it's like, I walked by you in the library and you were on Facebook. Like you may be in the library, but that doesn't mean you're actually being productive. And so people kind of build themselves up as a way, I don't know, for whatever reason. I wouldn't try to one up people as far as how long I studied. I would study as long as I needed to study to retain the information. And I understood that other people may take longer. Other people may retain the information sooner. So you can't compare yourself to others and think, well, oh, it took me longer to learn this, therefore I'm not as good or I'm not as quick. It's really not like that. As long as you care about it and you care to learn about it, it takes as long as it takes. And, not to compare yourself to others or think that you're not good enough to do something because you're not, on their level, which again, I don't think really exists or is a thing that people should compare themselves with.
Absolutely. In law school, you probably encountered a lot of gunners that raised their hand and stuff. Were you one of those gunners, or were you kind of quiet in law school as well?
I kept my high school mentality of just sit in the back, don't cause any issues, just quiet. Like, no, I was more of the one that, because in law school, they will like call on you. Like some professors would have like a schedule, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's whatever day of the week, these last names are up at bat kind of a thing. And so you more like, I more dreaded being called on in law school. I was definitely not one of the gunners, and I would definitely roll my eyes at the people who would continuously raise their hand or try to, be teacher's pet, because it doesn't get you anywhere. Like all it does is piss off the other people in the class, honestly. Like that's my opinion of it. So yeah, no.
I'm going to say a law school saying and tell me if you heard it before, okay? First year, they work you to death. Or first year, they scare you to death. Second year, they work you to death. And third year, they bore you to death.
I have heard that. Yeah, I have heard that. And I've also heard it gets easier, each year. And that one I don't agree with, because
Yeah,
it get easier. You just get better at balancing more things, or get used to balancing more things. So
Right.
yeah.
absolutely. Okay, and then when you started practicing, there's like this learning curve of like, I have war stories from it. Like I was thrown into the fire. I started working for a nonprofit, defending tenants in Los Angeles during the pandemic.
Was it
And it was frustrating. I was like the entire department's calendar most days. And there was sayings and learnings and negotiation skills that I had to pick up on the fly. And I'm just curious about your experience.
the learning curve for me was intense, because very soon after I graduated, I started my own firm. So a lot of attorneys will work for another firm for a while so that you can start learning the practices and the more practical part of being an attorney, not as far as like versus the theoretical part. And so for me, I had a little bit of practice because I did work for that solo practitioner for it was about 6 or 7 months before I started my own thing. So yeah, for me, it was kind of terrifying in the beginning because I didn't know how to do anything, but you can't let anybody know that. So fake it till you make it is definitely my motto for a long time. Kind of still is sometimes, but now I'm a little more confident with myself. But no, it was kind of terrifying at first, trying to figure out how to do things and then how to price things. Like I didn't know how to price things because I didn't know how long it took me to do. And so a lot of learning about that, just getting more of a handle of like, all right, well, this will probably take me X amount of time to complete, and pricing it accordingly.
Do you think that in the next 10 years that law is still a viable field? I mean, do you think that there's always a future in law for the young people out there debating career choices?
Yes. And I say that even in light of like ChatGPT and all of those other AI formats that are getting smarter, I will admit. But I mean, even when I look at, I had a case, I needed to write something. I'd never written anything like it before. So I asked, my mentor, I was like, have you ever written anything like this before? I don't have a template. I don't, I hate having to recreate the wheel if I don't have to. So he says no, but there's several like legal search engines that have now incorporated AI into their what they offer, their services, what they offer to people. And so he signed up for the very fancy dancy. I don't care to pay for that, but it's nice because when I need help, he'll type it in for me and then just shoot out the results. So I kind of get it for free without having to pay for it. And he sent me this. It looked really helpful at first. It was like 5 pages and it had statutes and case law. And I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And then I go through it and half the stuff is from other states. It's like old, like it's like, ooh, like you cannot rely on this. Like you can't just like turn that into court and say, oh, here's my argument, Your Honor. Like, no, like you still need a person to kind of interpret that information. And while AI can be used to help me find the information faster or give me a leaping off point to give me a couple cases that I can then, go follow the trail essentially, you can't like rely on it at all. At least not now. I don't, in the foreseeable future, like there's always going to be a nuance where I think it's going to require a human component to it. And it's always there's always the argument, even if you can't find any case law or anything to support your position, that there's the humanity in it, right?
Right.
Law is supposed to be people, and so you have a machine interpreting it. Like sometimes, I mean, I've gotten away with kind of the heartstring argument of like, this is just practically speaking, like this is not right, and I've been able to kind of convince judges to kind of change the ruling or modify it a little bit, and I just don't see how AI is going to be capable of that.
There's a very, I agree with you. There's a very human aspect to law. People's emotions, well-being, financial well-being is tied into these cases. And we as counselors are trying to do our best to do right by our client. And I always am reminded that the other side has a client too. So I'm never kind of unsympathetic to that, although I try to win my side as much as possible. But the one thing that they have experimented with or suggested is the possibility of AI judges and able to interpret case law or at least assist in that. What do you think about that?
Assisting, I'm okay with, just like in the way that it assisted me in creating a template to create my motion. But I would be terrified of the day that a machine is ruling on a matter. Like that terrifies me. I think that you need a human, judges are human, the parties are human. Like even though the law says this, there's still a human aspect to it. So yeah, no, I really hope that doesn't ever become the case. No, I don't think that.
I mean, some judges are human. No.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, you would have to have such a a transparent AI that it was explaining all of its rationale. Because if you just had it plug in something, it's a black box, then it spits out a decision. It's like, who knows what's influencing that, or who's the company that provided that service is getting some payout somewhere, right? So it's kind of hard to, unless there's ultimate transparency, I can't really see it being a viable option either in my lay person's view of the whole situation here. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was gonna ask, so you kind of went obviously pretty quickly into your own practice. How did you go about accruing caseload and all that kind of stuff? Did you advertise, or what was your route to getting some of the first?
So part of the reason that I decided to go on my own was because at the same time that I was getting my bar results, waiting for my bar results, I was attempting to apply to other law firms and just realizing that like I didn't really want to work there. Just the areas that they were, I knew I didn't want to work in family law or criminal law. And San Diego at the time, that was kind of all there was. And so while I was not having any luck of finding anywhere to work, I was also getting approached by people who were asking me for help. Like, oh, hey, I have this case. I don't know what to do with it. Do you know anybody that can help? And finally, maybe after like the third person that asked me, it just kind of clicked. And I was like, me, I can help. I will help you. I will be the lawyer. And so I kind of decided to start my own firm, already knowing that I had a couple of clients that were willing to, or wanted me to, kind of help them with their matter. So that helped, starting with kind of a little bit of a base. And then I've actually I can't say I've never advertised. I did for a short period of time, like 2 or 3 months on Google. I tried I don't even know. I'm not very good at tech stuff, but something, and it wasn't really getting me any viable leads. So it would give me leads, but they would be like for family law or for something that I don't know how, I don't know how to do that, right? Or I'm not interested in doing that. So I've always just been word of mouth. Facebook has been a good place, actually. I'm part of some real estate related like Facebook groups. So there's Facebook groups for like investors or for homeowners, and then there's always like agents and contractors and brokers and all sorts of kind of tangentially related real estate professionals, in these groups. And so anytime one of them, and it happens pretty often actually, they're looking for a real estate attorney. And California has pretty strict rules on, advertising and what they call like ambulance chasing. I don't know why I put quotes. That's what it's called. It's ambulance chasing.
Yeah.
I actually don't ever like put my name out there because I've kind of helped so many people and they know me in these Facebook groups. My name just gets tagged on all of those posts. And so if someone tags me in a post, I'll give them my email address and say, feel free to reach out to me. If you need some help. And I probably get 2 to 3 calls or potential clients just through Facebook alone of, oh, I saw your name pop up on a post, or I posted it. And there's a lot of people who, because like people, they want a referral, right? They don't want to just go on Google and like find an attorney. Like most people I have found will ask their friends. They'll go on Facebook. Like that's who they feel more comfortable with, is having a recommended name. And so advertising, I don't think it's worth the money, because again, I'm being in this pool and half the calls are not even related to real estate. Like people don't actually know what they need, what kind of attorney they need. And then, it's do they really trust me? Are they even good, trustworthy clients? Like,
Right.
so I think that Facebook and word of mouth, I mean, for me, I have more clients than I know what to do with. I have like a backlog of at least 6 people that I need to call that have called me in the last few days, new potential clients that, want a consultation, want some help. I do a lot of evictions on the landlord side, and
Nice.
there's not a lot of attorneys in San Diego that, or kind of, I have other cases in other, like Los Angeles County, Orange County, San Bernardino, Riverside, and there's just not a lot of good, trustworthy eviction attorneys. So I've kind of found a niche here where I do not feel the need or to advertise at all. So yeah, just word of mouth.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. So I used to work on the landlord-tenant defense side. I did that as my first job out of law school. I wonder if we ever had a case against each other. That's interesting. I don't think we did.
Did you work for Legal Aid?
No, I worked for Eviction Defense Network.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Down here we have Legal Aid. That's really big, and a lot of attorneys, when they graduate, they work as a staff attorney with Legal Aid, and they have a whole unlawful detainer department. So I thought maybe that sounds similar.
I worked with them on a case, but I worked and most of my cases were in Los Angeles County, so but it was during the pandemic where they were actually paying people's rent. So that was like my go-to settlement.
Yeah.
It was good while it lasted. Okay, so where do you see yourself in 10 years in law from now? I mean, given that you've been practicing for a while, you seem to be doing well, you have clients. Where would you like law to take you in 10 years?
I think I would like to take the transition into mediation, and doing like real estate mediations.
Right.
There's kind of several like real estate mediation centers filled with mediators that specialize in real estate disputes. Oftentimes they're also brokers. And mediation for real estate disputes is a really good way to resolve not all of them, but most of them, 99% of my real estate cases settle. And so mediation is something, I mean mediation several times a year. Whenever I can propose it, that's always kind of like my go-to, just because it's cheaper and it's quicker, and both parties can kind of, share in the resolution rather than one person being the winner, one person being the loser, which happens when you go to court and you go to trial. Okay. So most people are a little more eager to participate in the mediation process, knowing that the resolution is something that they were able to contribute to and agree to, instead of being, forced on them. And mediators make pretty good money, and they don't have to go to court. And they, I'm thinking that I would like to transition into doing mediations and using my skills to help people to kind of resolve things, without having to go to court.
That sounds really awesome. There's tons of mediators I really admire that are really cool. And I think you'd be great for that, to be honest with you, based off of what I'm hearing. Yeah, of course. I gotta press you for one thing though. I love lawyer war stories. I love like a good story that is shocking, and I need one out of you. I always ask everyone for it, and I gotta do it on this podcast too.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, no, people do love the horror stories. So, okay, would you rather me give you a horror story that's like something that's horrible happened to me, or just like a horrible case like that I've had?
I want to hear like something that, no offense, I want to hear what happened to you, but
That's
because
fair.
like
That's
it's
fair.
relevant, you know, to
That's
this
fair. Yeah.
podcast.
So I guess, okay, actually, yeah, this actually just happened to me a couple weeks ago. I was speaking to a potential client, an older woman who was saying she was having issues with a tenant. And so I went through the whole process of, this is the eviction process, this is what I charge, here's my retainer agreement. And she said, okay, thank you for the information. I'm going to speak with my husband because I know that he was talking to some other attorneys. No problem. A couple days later, I get an email from her saying that her husband decided he didn't feel comfortable with me because I was a woman. And so they were going with a male attorney. Um, and that was it. And I was like, I didn't really know how to react.
Yeah.
Because that's, you know, like,
So blunt.
why tell me that was really the thing. Because if you
Yeah.
passed it up, like, you could have just said we went with somebody else. That would have been
Right.
fine. I really would not have thought twice. That happens all the time, you know, like
Right.
no hard
Yeah.
feelings. But the fact that she had to specifically let me know why they weren't going with me, and then also kind of
Right.
call my husband, like I didn't really. So I try to kind of like push that whatever, and then like a week later, she sends me a handwritten note saying the same thing, thanking me for my kindness, and then reminding
Wow.
me like, oh well, I'm sorry that my husband didn't feel comfortable with you, and then like something to the effect of, well, if something goes wrong with this other attorney, you'll be the first person that I call. And in my head, I'm like, why would I ever take your
Are
case?
you
I'm
gonna
not
change your gender or something? What are they expecting?
why would I
That's
ever work?
ridiculous.
I don't want to work with you and your husband like that. So
Wow.
so yeah, that like just happened to me
Wow.
like a couple weeks ago, and I'm still kind of in shock
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, the email was already like sufficient, but then the handwritten note that she sent in the mail like a week later for me to like, you know,
That's
remind
his
me as if
fault.
I'd forgotten that,
I
you know,
I would be looking on the lookout for if they knock on your door and say it one more time to your face. Just be like, just confirming you are indeed a female and we are not taking you on our case. I'm sorry. I
like,
just had to confirm that the third time. Yeah.
That's
like
hilarious.
I don't know. I'm just gonna block her number. So if she calls me again, it's not gonna go
You
through.
should.
I don't have anything
Yeah.
nice to say. I had to revert to like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Because I'm like, I do not genuinely know how to respond to this. And I'm not someone that goes speechless very often, but that
Right.
there's
That's
no
when you
words for
just
that.
subpoena them. You just straight subpoena them for no reason. Make them show up to court and they don't know why. They're just in court. Like it's a blank subpoena. I don't know why. That's what I imagine Jim does all the time. Yeah.
I need to explain to Tyler what a subpoena
Yeah,
actually
explain subpoenas. After the pod, explain it.
Yeah,
My
that is
favorite
all.
word ever. It's my favorite word. Yeah.
subpoena everything and everyone. Okay.
It is so annoying because I always forget how to I forget how to spell subpoena. I always forget if the E comes before the O because it's a
It's a
stupid
Yeah.
weird one.
word. Like, God, so yeah,
Long confusing.
Subpoena.
Long
yeah,
confusing.
right. Yeah, why is it spelled like that?
That's super awesome. Did you go to your 10-year reunion?
Good
Yes,
question.
yeah. So
What
we
was that
actually,
like?
it was an unofficial 10-year reunion. So one of my classmates, Jillian Long, actually, she and her husband, who was also a classmate, they like started dating in high school and then ended up getting married. It's kind of cute.
That's adorable.
Like
Yeah.
still together like all these years later, you know.
Wow.
And so they kind of took it upon themselves to like organize something. And so we had kind of
Mm.
I mean, it was a good group of people, but I mean, not nearly the graduating class. You know, my graduating class was like 850 people or something like that. And there was
Right.
maybe like 60 people there, 65 people there, which is still like, unfortunately, more people that I kind of knew too. And it was at the Fish Co., that place that's on near Ocean, right off of Ocean
Yeah.
Avenue.
Yep.
I know where that is. Yeah.
I did. I
That
definitely.
place, yeah,
We used
that
to go
place.
there every year for family stuff.
Yeah, that place is delicious.
Yeah.
So we had it there. So I did come, because that was, you know, I was one of the lucky people that actually she invited because we knew her from from high school. So yeah, that was cool that she did that. I wish the school did more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had like a 10-year reunion or not.
No, we were during the pandemic, so there was no shot of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of unlucky, but it's all good. But this podcast is helping reconnect different classes and the entire Samohi community, so it's pretty cool. And it's telling people stories that they wouldn't hear from lawyers, doctors, engineers, what have it. So it's pretty cool. With that, Mariza told her entire story. She's a kick-ass lawyer. So I think we should send her into the lightning round. What do you think, T?
I agree. Let's hit the lightning up. Yeah, we just fixed the typo in the previous episode too. So it's all good.
Tyler's that's a DPT and he can't spell lightning. That's
I can't spell lightning and I have a doctorate, so that's kind of embarrassing. But you learn something every day. Okay. All right, lightning round questions. You cannot skip any of these. You got to go 6 for 6 on these. All right. First one.
All right.
What was the best off-campus lunch spot near Samo?
Donut King.
Oh, good.
Okay,
We haven't got a
good
Donut
option.
King yet. That's a first.
Yeah.
I like this. Okay, question 2. Hardest class you took at Samo?
Calculus.
Oh, damn.
Who was
Okay.
your teacher for calc? I'm just curious. Do you remember?
God, what was his name? He was the only calculus teacher.
Was it Okla?
See?
Okla? Or did he come like after?
Might
I
have
should
been.
remember
Oh gosh, what was his name? If you said the name, I would remember it.
I tapped out at pre-cal. So I didn't make it that far. Yeah.
Yeah. He had a son who was also a student at the school.
Oh.
Gosh, I can't remember his name, but yeah.
Okay.
Ooh,
I'm not good at math or science.
That's all good.
Why do you
Okay.
learn?
I was
You're
just
hilarious. That's good. Question 4. Would you rather have a late start Wednesday or an early release Friday?
Early release Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get out and
That's
do your thing.
been
Start the weekend.
terrible.
Respect.
Yeah.
Question 3. I'm kind of going backwards here, but which year of high school would you most like to relive if you had to relive that full 12 months?
Definitely senior year. Because
Okay.
it was, you can go off campus and just because I was almost out of there.
I think I'm batting like 19 out of 20 interviews are all senior year, so it's
I said freshman year though, T.
I know that's fair. We need some love for the freshmen. Like, come on, like you're wide-eyed, everything's new. I don't know. That was nice too, but maybe not. You got beat up or something. I don't know. Question 5. Who was the hottest teacher at Samo? Guy or girl?
Ooh.
Doesn't matter. And it wasn't Mr. D.
No.
He wasn't even a teacher. He was a security
No,
guard.
yeah, security guard.
Security guard.
Sure. I don't know necessarily if I thought he was hot. I thought he was the coolest and the graddest kind of teacher. It was Mr. Felix. He used to be the AP history teacher.
Dude, we loved
My
him.
brother loved he wanted to be a history teacher because of that man. Yeah. And then he switched and became a doctor, but whatever. Yeah.
I also Mr. Toon was probably my favorite teacher though. Just because he's so cool. He's psych teacher. And again, I ended up getting a degree in psychology. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed his class the most. That was the class I enjoyed the most out of any of my classes was the AP Psych class. But yeah, Mr. Felix, he would get me out of math class, and I was one of the students that he would allow to chill in the back, even though I wasn't his TA. And I got kind of that privilege of being one of his, whatever. And he'd basically tell me, just write yourself a note, and then he would sign it. And I know that I can say all these things because I know he doesn't work at the school anymore, because I also know some other things. Why he doesn't work at the school anymore. I can actually thank Mr. D for that, because he's the one who kind of told me.
Oh my god.
Wait, I'm missing it. What happened?
Drama.
So Mr. Felix got fired, and I tried to, so I think a year after I graduated, or maybe 2 years after I graduated, I tried to go back on campus, and I ran into Mr. And Mr. D's like, "Where's your ID?" And I said, "Are we seriously going over this again? This is really, Mr. D? And he was like, I know, but he's like, I can't let you on campus unless you're visiting a teacher. And I was like, all right, fine. Like, I'm visiting Mr. Felix. And he's like, Mr. Felix doesn't work here anymore. And I said, really? And I was like, why? And he kind of looked at me and he's like, you know why. And that's all I had to say. And I was like, oh, I do know why. Because Mr. Felix had the habit of kind of like flirting with some of the female students. He didn't flirt with me. But I definitely saw some stuff that I can see may have been perceived and maybe went beyond what I saw. Because, you know, maybe I wasn't really paying that close attention because I thought Mr. Felix was cool and I, you know, wasn't whatever. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he got in trouble for
Crazy.
Did you guys know that he married his first TA?
No.
Oh,
yeah, the first TA he ever had. He ended up marrying her.
Wow.
After the fact.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
That's interesting.
We'll get Felix on the show. We'll interview him.
We'll get him to tell the story.
Yeah, we'll get him to tell the story live on the pod for you. Yeah.
I would listen to that.
Yeah. We had Jeff Tipper on, the stats teacher, like 3 episodes ago. So he was a good episode too. Yeah. First teacher. You want to hit her with the final plugs, Jim?
Let's go to the final plugs and thoughts. Anything that you want to say to the viewers, your classmates, any future law students out there, the floor is yours.
I mean, I guess kind of the only advice I can to give to people is just to kind of find your passion. You know, find something that you're good at, find something that you enjoy doing, and just go with that, because you can kind of make money doing anything. If you're really good at something, if you're passionate about something, you know, that just makes it all the much easier. And I'm not saying I'm necessarily passionate about law, but, you know, I am passionate about like helping others and providing services that people can't get elsewhere. And so you know, that's kind of the most important thing to me. And it doesn't really matter how much money I make. I've never been like money driven. It's just about kind of like leaving an impact, leaving the place a better world than you found it.
Damn.
Solid.
I respect
Very
that.
solid.
That's a solid mic drop moment right there.
Yeah, we can really drop our mics now. Just
Lawyer Lockhart. Just drop my pen right here, right there. Boom. Nailed it. Crushed it. Good episode. And I know you're in court tomorrow, so you're like, you got to prep for that. So I appreciate you being on.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
last minute hearing, they continued it. So I'm like, okay.
Dude, I'm in court tomorrow too, but it's just a case management conference, so it's not that bad.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for coming on. Awesome to get to know you. If you have any classmates that you want to recommend that comes on, hit us up about it. And thank you so much for sharing your story. Like, your story is amazing.
Of course. Yeah. Pleasure to be here. Thanks to you guys for doing this. I think this is so cool that you guys like put this together, and I think it's a great idea. So when I saw it, was when I was like, hey, I want to participate. That looks like fun. So
yeah. Thank you. You're brave, but you're also a lawyer, so it makes sense. So that's great.
Yeah, I don't scare easily.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Just like that. That's the episode, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
Peace.
Cool.